Hello my friends, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to do our military braid tutorial. If you were watching this video, it could be that you're new to the homecoming mom world. The military braid is kind of a staple for Rayanne and I. It's a braid that we put on every single mom or garter. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of introduce it, although I will tell you I'm excited that Rayanne is going to do the video tutorial for you here in just a minute. But I wanted to encourage you, if you're new to the mom world, don't be scared of doing braids on your mums. It really will make a big difference in your mum and the overall look. Just watch all of the braiding tutorials that are out there. Watch them over and over again if you have to. I'll tell you, I wanted to talk to you because I did not do a military braid on a mum or garter for the first 2 years that Rayanne and I made mums or garters, and we made lots of them. She did every single one, and this braid goes on every single one of our mums and garters. And it was just because I wasn't confident. Hers looked prettier than mine, and I just didn't take the time to sit down and practice. And once I practiced, it really all has to do with the tension. And I know now that Rayanne is very glad that I can help her out with military braids. So I'm gonna give this over to her. We do our military braids with a number 5. You will see here that a few of our examples are layered in a number 3. Rayanne is going to do the tutorial based on all of a number 5 ribbon. I would encourage you, practice with this one, get the tension down where you're really happy with it, and then if you like the look of the layered, then you can add that number 3 on there as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Rayanne, and I will talk to you guys later.
Hey mom friends, I'm here to show you how to braid a military braid. I know we've seen it all over Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok. This is just a version on how I make it. Pretty standard to what everybody else makes. I'll start with my 4.5 yards of ribbon. It kind of varies for some. Some people do 4.5 yards, some people do 5 yards. It really depends upon how tight your braids are. And that's the one thing with the military, you have to be careful of your tension. So I'll start with the purple or regal and gold, and I'll fold it over about 1 inch or so. Then I'll staple that. Then I'll take my imprint, and then I'll back it with white. It still shows through just a little bit, but not too much whenever I'm braiding it. Sometimes you have to do double the white, which it makes the braid really heavy when you start doubling it. So fold it over about 1 inch as well. Okay. And like I said, we have about 4.5 yards. I cut mine about 4.5 to 4 3/4. When I do 5, then I end up with a really long military braid. But again, it'll depend upon your tension on how tight you pull it. So I'm gonna put them down here, separate them. Okay. Now here's where it gets really, when you start it on how you want it to look. So if I have these two, I'm not looking at the loop, but I'm looking at the body part of the ribbon. If those are face up, that's what's going to be in the middle of the military. And then what's on the back will be on the outside. So I can show you a couple of loops. So I'll take my imprint loop and stick it inside my regal and gold loop like so. And then I'll stop and I'll hold it right here, and then I'll make a loop with the gold and regal like this, and I will stick it inside the white and imprint loop like so, and then I'll go up and hold that right there to keep it from coming undone. And then I'll take my imprint and white and make a loop like so and stick it into the regal and gold. And this is where, if you start making it really tight, like if I were to really tighten that down and tighten the other one down, you're going to end up with a curly Q military. So you have to be real careful to make sure you have a little bit of looseness to it so that it will hang straight. And usually they don't hang straight until they've been, you know, on a hook hanging there for a little bit with gravity pulling on it. So I'll take my gold and regal and I'll make a loop. So the loop is gold facing up and regal is back to back. I'll stick the loop in I've heard some people refer to them as bunny ears. So I pull it through. I'm going to pull on my imprint in white just a little bit, and then I'll hold it right there to keep it in place. And then I'll make another loop with my imprint in white, like so, and I'll stick it into my Regal in gold. Stick that through, kind of hold it, and then I pull the tension on the gold just a little bit, and then I will hold on to it, and I'll make another loop with Regal in gold and stick it into the loop that I've made with imprint in white. This is one of our standard braids that we put on all of our mums and garters. We just like it. We don't usually bling ours out. I know some people run bling down the center of it, which is gorgeous, and some people put bling interspersed throughout it. Gorgeous as well. When we have imprint and diamond dust, we kind of like to just show off that imprint and that diamond dust and let it show through for them to see. Let's put that one in through, tighten with the imprint, hold that loop in place so I can make this loop with the imprint in white, stick it through the loop, the other loop, the golden regal loop, kind of hold it in place, snug on the golden regal, and not too tight, but not too loose as well. I've made some where they're too loose at the beginning, and I don't know if you guys are crocheters or not, but it kind of comes into play like that when you crochet. If you're crocheting really, really tight and then you go really loose, you can kind of see it throughout the piece of work you're working on. So this is kind of very similar to that. That makes it end up either being a yard or over a yard, depending upon your measurement. Like when I cut 4.5, if I make it really tight, then it doesn't always end up being a yard like I want it. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So now we're getting to the end of our braid. This last couple of loops can be a little more challenging. I'll probably extend those loops out just a little bit. This is how I like to make a little tail on it, like this, and then staple it where the smooth side of the staple is on the back. And then we can usually finish these out with a little dab of bling or a cutout. But usually we don't bling our militaries out just because they're just so pretty, the braid on them in itself. And there's lots of variations that come from the military, but this is the military that we use. You've got these little extra tails right here. I like to push them through just a little bit and then trim it and tuck it back in there. And this one I try to trim as short without cutting it all up at the end. And then it's finished. And so that's all for now, friends. Happy creating.